What's up, guys? What's going on? Morning. Good morning. Is it okay if you stand up again? Is that all right? After the role play and everything? Unless you're too exhausted today, or I'm just checking. Sure. Let's see what Rick.
Gosh, I'm looking for something.
What?
Some kind of
ACDC.
It's going to be. You know it.
What I tell you. Yeah. First, I know that I am really therefore, I find myself resistant to attraction toward the flame, and I dare not come to raise this jack. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually increase the total amount of physical actions and gradually transform themselves into reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts on whatever it is I want to ask and the first thing to come from, thereby creating my mind. Third, I know that the principle causes death. Any desire that persists in my mind will lead to therefore, I will go negative theory in myself. Fourth, I have been living out of this. Now, another time. Fifth, I told the world I can go on. And that's no success. Therefore, I will need no second. I'm cooperating I will be so certain. I will be patient and self-sufficient. But I will solve all men. I'll follow the lead, and myself. I'll try Ascent. Continue.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
A million dreams are keeping me
A million dreams, a million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
for the world we're gonna make.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. How's it going? Is it just me? Did this clear out a little bit? What's going on? Or maybe you guys brought a whole heck of a lot of energy this morning.
Rick had a
It seemed like more people. What's that?
Rick had a Red Bull. I think he just drew the energy in.
Okay. Okay. So
And he
he said
laughed,
that
you know.
about 3 or 4 times that he had a rifle. So.
Now, hopefully they don't already know your message, and that is the reason why they kind of walked out.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, we'll
I
see.
don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be a good one today, I promise. So let's hear it. Wins, victories. What?
That was it.
Wow, thanks, man. Wins, victories, gratitudes. Let's hear it. Who's first?
I called for sale by owners and expired yesterday.
Nice. Nice. Good job.
For like the 3rd day in a row.
Awesome. We're gonna talk about consistency today. That's awesome. Yeah.
My listing should go live Saturday, Friday or Saturday.
All right. Nice job. Well done. Well done. Who else?
Well,
Great.
I felt big time.
Who what?
I felt big time on listing, and I learned a lot more from my failures than I do from my success.
I was waiting for the learning part. Yeah, I learned from my listing big time, right?
And I will never
You
be
don't
able to
fail if you learn.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
learned.
Awesome.
Good job.
And that gets you closer to where you want to go. Right? Doesn't seem like it, but it does. I saw another hand somewhere.
Yeah, got a quick one. I took some clients out last night. I met him in person last night for the first time, and then the first house we looked at, they wanted to put an offer in.
Nice.
That's
Very
pretty
good.
cool.
It's all about how you set it up too, right? Good job. You're like first basket right now. A lot of clap. It's good though.
Yes.
Rick.
I learned not to have a Red Bull in the morning. It's like I can't even sit still. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I learned not to
get Rick a Red Bull.
In the morning, why do you touch them at all?
I know, right? Man, I'm telling you what, I'm wound.
Oh man, that is awesome. I want to have a box up here just for more Ascent. Have like Rick inside the box. That'd be. I don't know about you guys. That would be entertaining. Pure entertainment. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah.
Painful journey, but my I have 4 sons, a couple daughters, but one of my sons, the second oldest son, graduates from the U of U Med School.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Awesome, Paul.
Awesome.
That is great. You know, I have a lot of doctors in my family, so it's excruciating to go through because and once they're there, they're so
Everybody feels-
happy.
Yeah, everybody feels.
Everybody.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
He's in behavioral medicine, so I get to give my psychosis drugs. Off after.
That'll
Never
benefit.
mind.
Big time. Yeah, Ruby.
It's a diagnosis every day.
Yeah.
Like that, not like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had some very difficult clients that I got under contract with a commercial.
Very
And
good.
it was a big restaurant building, and we finally got it under contract. So it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank
Awesome. Well done.
you. You don't for like months.
Good job. Anyone over here other than
I'm grateful to see Curtis this morning.
Right?
That was a win. I made it to morning Ascent.
What
And
happened?
then your last role play. I heard how that went. That was awesome. Train wreck.
He was rattled to the
Maybe
core,
what
but
you
did
think,
well.
but it's not exactly what other people hear. Just know that. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. If there aren't any more. Okay. So yeah, new book coming up, guys. Max Out Your Life. Make sure you pick that up. In fact, are we starting that next week?
Next
or do
week.
we have one more chapter?
Actually, Matt Clark's gonna actually do it. We wrapped up the last book, Be Chief. Max Out. It's a real small read. It's a good, I hear it's an amazing book. Matt Clark's going to do the first half. We'll probably only have 2 weeks with this book. So get in, read it, bring your questions or input. So it's good.
Good.
Front desk is already out.
Yeah,
Are you really?
yes.
Yeah, they didn't have one for me.
It's gonna be a race up there. Once we
Is
do
it
it.
on Audible? Can we know if it's on
Hey,
Audible?
I looked, I didn't find
Come
it.
and
but
get mine. So I'm not gonna be here and I'll have you do the second half.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
baby.
Okay. And show up, guys. I mean, obviously, reading the book helps in the discussion, but it's really cool to hear what other people have to say about their insights.
Yeah.
So make sure you do that. Okay, so speaking, it seems like every day I'm told like, oh, you got to read this book. There's like 3 or 4 books every single day that someone tells me I need to read. I'm going to talk about another one
Yes.
right now. So,
Oh, is that? Okay, great.
oh, it is?
Right, yes.
Okay, it is on audio. So, is anyone familiar with the book? And I think Justin Udy brought it up during his base camp, The Energy Bus. Has anyone heard
I got it on my
Adam
desk.
has? Yeah, it's a
Read it.
great book. Anyway, not that book, same author, he wrote another one that if you're looking for something to kind of help with the mindset, especially following up on Youth Summit for like the teenage years, I read it and I really appreciated it. It's a pretty funny title, but it's called The Shark and the Goldfish. And I'm not sure if anyone has read that book before, but it's pretty neat because I've even read it to my 9-year-old and 6-year-old, and I'll kind of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but you know what I mean, like change up the verbiage and stuff like that so they get it. But essentially, it's kind of a funny, kind of silly background story, but a lot of the lessons within it are pretty neat. And it starts off where there's this goldfish, I can't remember his name, but he's in this fish bowl, you know, all his life, and he's just so happy because his owners always bring him food the same time every day, and he knows when to expect it. That sense of security is there. It's just happy little goldfish. And one day, the 6-year-old, 7-year-old, the family's going to the beach. The 6, 7-year-old brings the goldfish to the beach. Like pulls out like in the sand a nice deep hole and fills it with water, drops the goldfish in it, and goldfish is just super happy and everything. And then of course a wave comes and goldfish is swept out to sea, and immediately this goldfish is put in a new environment that, let's face it, is super, super scary, right? And the goldfish is just really down and I'm gonna starve, I'm not fed anymore. This is so difficult, I'm not going to make it, and there's all these doubts and lack of belief, limiting beliefs that creep in because of the lifestyle the goldfish has had up until then. And then, okay, this is really cartoonish, but it's a pretty cool story. But shark comes along, goldfish is really scared. The shark says, well, I'm going to show you how to go out and live the life that you want, that you didn't know was possible. And the shark teaches the goldfish how to go out and find food. And the goldfish soon realizes over time, and there's a process through it obviously, but the goldfish soon realizes that there is more abundance in being placed in that situation than the goldfish ever thought possible. And there's more available to the goldfish than the goldfish ever thought possible being in a small fishbowl of security. And it's pretty neat. So again, I recommend that book to your kids or anything like that. It's a pretty cool story. So literally with my kids now, like my 9-year-old, when he's like, will you make me cereal? And I know he's old enough, or there are things he's capable of doing. I'm like, Luke, are you a shark or a goldfish? He's like, I'm a shark. And he goes, does it. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, I kind of wanted to share that with us and look at that a little bit today. And I want to share a couple things within our business where it really depends on our view of this business, right? And opportunity around us. It's so easy to focus on, man, this market is so saturated with agents. I have so much competition, just like the goldfish in the ocean. How am I going to find anything? I don't have the skill set necessary to get there, which I know doesn't apply to a lot of you guys because you're here at Role Play this morning. But we can also look at it as how many thousands of potential homeowners are out there right now. I mean, it is for the taking. I mean, we are in a business of abundance. And so much depends on how we look at it, right? And isn't it so interesting? We have to consistently remind ourselves of these things. And what stories are we telling ourselves? Let's say I do FSBO expired calls for the first time in how long? And what am I basing my mindset off of? Am I telling myself, man, you know, it didn't work out today, so most likely it's not going to work out tomorrow and things aren't going to get better? Or are we telling ourselves, I'm going to be persistent, consistently stick with this, and eventually it's going to happen? I don't know when, but it's going to happen, right? So I kind of want to talk about a couple things that I've seen throughout those that are most successful in their careers, whether it's real estate or whatever it might be, to truly live a life of abundance and the way they look at it. And some absolutely necessary concepts you have to, you just have to master these concepts. Because if you don't, no matter how much we come to role play, build our skill set and everything else, until you actually put yourself out there, just like Evan was talking about, from what you said, you failed in an appointment, although I don't consider it failure because you learned from it.
I fell from the list.
Yeah, so you absolutely have to put yourself out there. Where did my voice go? So I want to share with you guys a couple things. First off, and these are going to maybe seem kind of unrelated, but each of them are so important. So when it comes to mindset, I've shared this formula with you guys before. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, but I'm telling you, when I'm speaking to someone and they're going through something difficult, which is all of us really, we hear from George, imagine that 75% of the time or more, someone's going through their roughest day, and usually you're right? So when you think this way, when you have the right mindset, you can instantly recognize if someone is approaching this difficult time with the right mindset or the wrong mindset. And literally, when I'm talking to someone, I can tell if they're going to be stuck in that same situation or if they're going to be getting out of it pretty soon. And this is what I base it off of. So there's a formula that I consistently have to remind myself of all the time. Because let's face it, when you're going through something difficult or something new, it's a little bit difficult to take the emotions immediately out of it and look at it the right way, right? Everyone goes through something difficult. So what it is event plus response equals outcome. What's interesting to me is what happens, and I do the same thing all the time. I'm going through it right now. I have to remind myself again, how am I looking at this situation? The event, does this typically change, between people? Doesn't everyone go through hardships, right? As much as when the bad event happens, good event happens, what's interesting is so many times we put so much emphasis on this, right? Why did this happen to me? Why is this happening? Why do I have to go through this, right? What's interesting is when the good things happen, sometimes we don't think that way, but why is this happening? We put all this emphasis on the event. It's not fair. This shouldn't happen to me, right? Rick, you had a comment?
Yeah, the event's only 10% of what goes on in your life. 90% is the response, which equals the outcome.
Yep. Yeah.
And a lot of the times when you're up there talking about this, our first thought is when we're thinking event, we're thinking something catastrophic. We're thinking some big monumental thing. But the event is as small as squeezing toothpaste on your shirt in the morning. And how you handle that, oh, crap, this is going to be a terrible day. I'm going to have to change my shirt, and then the cap doesn't come on right, and you put it on your hand, and it spirals, right? And so the response, like you said, the 90% ends up saying, oh, today's going to be a terrible day because I got toothpaste on my shirt, versus oh, whoa, well, I didn't get on my pants too. Turning around with that event and your response means the outcome is going to just be substantially different.
I don't know whether you just threw out that example or that
It did not happen today.
Okay.
It did not happen, but I'm sure it's happened before.
Okay. Friendly.
And probably on the same note, I tell my kids, even when they were little, it was always about the 90-10 rule, and it's all about attitude and everything else. But I would say to them, if you're going to drive a car, you're going to get a flat tire. So guess what? Deal with it. So it's like, you're going to have a flat tire. How are you going to respond? Is it going to ruin your day, or hey, you have a flat tire and move on? That basic.
Yeah, great point. Saw another hand somewhere. Okay. So, again, guys, as much as we want it to change, these events typically just happen, right? So this is fixed. Right? So we can either direct our attention and our focus to the event, or Depending on a response, we direct it towards the outcome. What outcome do I want? It's not if, but when. You're going to set your goal. You're going to set these super high goals for the year that you have, right? Deep down, you know you can achieve it. You have that excitement inside of you, right? You're ready to get going. So when we focus on that outcome, something is going to happen, and that's going to be the hardship. That's going to be someone rejects us on the phone. It's going to be someone insults us at the door when we're door knocking the very first door. Whatever that might be, it's going to happen. However, this is the only variable in this case. That's it. Right? And then what's really cool is, like I said, if you focus on the outcome, George just talked about, you'll figure it out, right? It says just figure it out. And when we are focused in that place, we figure out what that response needs to be, right? So the way we look at these situations that do occur is everything. I can't stress that enough. There was a time within where it really hit home for me before I really looked at things this way or realized if I did or not. In my own business, I had grown to a specific size, and it just turned into something where I had one employee team member after another. I could not get anything done. Opening my door, complaining about another team member that stole his or her business or their lead. It was always something, and I was always reacting. And I'm in this place, and I came from a place of not liking it to literally being opposed, even wanting to talk to people on my team. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Just go. Just work. Put your head down and work. I don't want to hear about your complaints and things like that. And then literally every single day when I got up for a while, it's like, I don't like this. I don't want to do this, right? And then something clicked for me, and I realized, what is my response in that situation? What's interesting is because of my response, I was creating this event that was happening over and over and over again, right? So as soon as I started looking at what my response is, that's when I learned to be proactive, and I created my own outcome within my business. So really identify what events are happening right now where, like the goldfish, we may be looking at those events and pointing at the event and hoping that event will change even though it's not. Or are we looking at the outcome? Okay. Yeah, John?
I really like what you said. Not all events do we create, but I would say that a large share of our undesirable events are our fault. We're just not taking ownership.
What's interesting is this is a whole other concept, but when we don't act, life presents itself to us, right? I don't know how else to say that. But when we go after things, if I'm going after the phone calls, I'm creating those events in my life, right? I'm creating opportunities like Evan was talking about to quote unquote fail, to learn from those things. I can either create or I can wait for it to happen to me, right? It's a great point, John. Yeah, Mike.
I just had a kind of off-subject comment. For me, a lot of what helps me with this a lot is morning meditation. You know, starting at zero, grounded, and then when something hits me, then I can kind of take myself back to that place. Just a comment.
Yeah, that's a great comment. The way we set ourselves up to respond in the right way is everything, right? Yeah, so morning routines are so important. That's why so much emphasis is placed on that. So we're in the right mindset to have the right response when these things present themselves, or when we create these events to try and get to this outcome. Another point I want to make that's absolutely important is, so I want to open it up to you guys. Let's say you go to Mike Ferry event, whatever it might be, and you have a panel up there of individuals that are just killing it in this industry, right? And we're thinking, man, you know, they're pretty good, but and we get excited because we're starting to tell ourselves, like, I'm pretty sure that I'm just as skillful as they are to accomplish these things. And then we may ask ourselves, like, why am I not there? Things like that. But what is it when we view these panelists or those individuals in your mind that are succeeding at such a high level? What things do they have in common? I just want to open it up to you guys and hear what you think.
Grit.
Grit? What do you mean by grit?
Consistency, just day after day, getting after it, no matter what happens.
Great.
When I first started going to McFerry, I would compare myself, and it would bring me down. But not last year, but the one they had in March, I think it was Ira or whoever was speaking. But they had the panel up there with Brian Burnett and stuff, and because I had been really working on getting out of my head, I thought, they're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Just consistency and all that stuff that you've got. Anybody can do it, because they didn't start out that way. They had to build that. So why couldn't I? Rather than compare and think, oh, why am I such a failure?
Comparison can hurt us most
Yeah.
definitely, right? We kill ourselves before we
I
even
think
get
you have to
started
get
sometimes.
out of that
Yeah.
all in your head. You have to open yourself up and say, there's not any reason why I can't do that. They were ordinary. I mean, they're ordinary. Just doing extraordinary things.
Interesting, you both said consistency. Yeah.
I think they own the big three that George teaches: mindset, skills, and discipline.
Great point.
Seems like everybody I've ever seen that's like succeeding in life are always early risers, right? And they have time to actually take care of themselves, take care of their business, put themselves in that right mindset, that they're always ready to get the day started.
Okay. You said always twice. Just want to point that out too. It's not just every now and again. I see that. Yeah, Barbara.
I think just sometimes just doing it. One thing I have to do sometimes, like, I just can't think about getting out of the car anymore. Like, I just need to get out, because if I think about it, then
That's the most
I'll
important
sit
part.
there for
People
an
are
hour.
laughing because they get it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I get to an area, what's the first thing we think? Like, oh, this area isn't as
You
good as
start
I
finding
remember
things
last
wrong
night.
with it.
Right? And in my mind, these homes look a lot better. I don't think anyone's going to buy or sell. Right? That moment, you literally, I tell myself literally almost before putting the car in park, I jump out the door because, right? Literally, you have to. Every second you take, whether it's picking up the phone or whatever it is less likely you're going to do it.
I have sat in my car and said out loud, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Started knocking.
Yeah. Or we're going to say, I just remembered this other area way over in Taylorsville. I think that's going to be a better area, right? Like, I'm going to drive over there. Then you get there and you have to go to the bathroom. I'll just do it tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. So I want to focus on the consistency side. What's interesting to me is everyone comes from so many different backgrounds, but consistency is always there. Always. Someone talked about Brian Burnett. I mean, if you're not familiar already, even when this dude comes here for a speaking engagement or anything, he has to have a place set up to do his calls every single day. Every day. You guys getting that? Every single day.
Every event I've ever been to, and I get there early enough, he's sitting, he just finds a desk or he walks around with it. It's amazing. There's no excuse.
Yep. So one definition I really like with consistency, not that we don't know what that is, but it says building small empowering habits done daily, which keep you focused on the highest priorities and goals. It's not only being consistent, we're building habits regardless, right? We're building habits each and every day. Some habits that hurt us a great deal, some habits that help us a great deal. But you absolutely have to build those around your highest priorities and goals.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I like that you said small. Small habits.
Yeah, and we make them sometimes bigger than what it is, but
yeah,
we absolutely have to set ourselves up for it. I remember one thing Jason shared before is in working out in the morning, we have to enable ourselves to follow through with these habits, especially or the consistency, especially when we're doing it for the first time. He talked about having his gym bag and his work clothes in his car the night before, right? That way it makes it easier to do, and he knows he has to go to his car to get his stuff, so he might as well go to the gym, right? So create opportunity for yourself. Yeah.
When you mentioned that, it reminded me when I said I want to take 10 listings, and I sat in my office and I'm like, I can't take 10 listings. I don't have 10 signs. I don't have 10 key boxes. So amazingly, I went and bought 10 signs, and I got 10 key boxes, and I put them right there where I saw them every day. And you have to set yourself up or you won't do it. So I have my signs, I have my key boxes,
That's
and
awesome.
every time I took an appointment, I took a sticky note and I put the address on that key box.
Awesome.
I love that.
You
You
tracked it.
didn't
You
have to
tracked
write
what
it
you were
down.
doing.
You actually materialized it for yourself.
I had to see it. I'm a visualizer and paper. I'm like, okay. And it scares you if you think, I want to take listings, but you don't have signs, you don't have key boxes, you won't take listings.
Is it safe to say that if we haven't accomplished something before in the past, maybe we have that deep-seated thing, it's the fear of the unknown. I'm not gonna be able to handle. I've heard multiple times people say like, I'm not gonna be able to handle all these people. I can't handle all these UCs, these people under contract. How am I gonna do that? No, life is, I'm not ready. I've gotta do this and this and this and this. And while it's important to set ourselves up, at the same time, you don't know what it's like, and you have to realize that you're gonna grow into it. You have to grow into it. Yeah.
Just like that, like when you get on a phone call, if you say, I'm gonna get this appointment, I'm gonna get this appointment, okay, next one's gonna be yes, it's gonna be yes, it's gonna be yes, and it can be. It's all about your mindset, it's the energy that you're putting out on the phone call. So if you want a yes, you'll get a yes.
People can hear, can hear it in your voice,
They can.
if you actually believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
So I'm running out of space here. In interest of time, I'm just going to write this down quickly. There are, you guys have talked about a few of them, but a few common things, which is why it's so difficult for us to be consistent, right? So, or we beat ourselves up before we even start. One, self-doubt. No one sets you apart. Know why you're different, right? Why people should go with you. The second, process. I'm just gonna write that on space. Focus on the process. Like you just said, what am I doing now, right? You need to look at the long term, but look at what you're doing right now to get there. We have become so impatient, right? Why am I not a millionaire right now? I made 20 calls today. Why is that not happening for me right now, right? Focus on the long, well, look at your long term, plan for it, but focus on your process right now. And then, well, this is a part of consistency, but let's see. Just gonna write discipline. Tell me this, guys. If I have a goal that I'm doing so many contacts every day, and I miss today, is my career over? Am I done with? Right?
Start at zero.
If I'm on a diet or I'm about to start a diet, but I like scarf 3 donuts today before starting my diet, am I gonna die? You know what I mean? That's the hard part because we focus so much on like, if I have this grand goal, if I miss one day, it's not over, life isn't over, and we don't see immediately anyway, John, go ahead. Yeah.
So George has talked about how the high achievers are never 100% on the game. And he talked about what they truly are, and it's 80%. So when I set up an accountability contract, I set it up to be 80% on the game. I only have to come to morning Ascent 4 times out of the week. I only have to go to gym 4 times out of the week. And so when I hit my accountability, I know I'm winning.
So I took the opposite route. Thank you for sharing that. But we have to know that when I'm trying to be consistent and develop habits, when I do skip a day, if I do that over time, it has exponential results, either for the better or for the worse, right? So where we are now is typically what we've been doing over the last few months with where your business is. So make sure you stay consistent with that. Brian Burnett, again, was an excellent example every single day. And then lastly, know your numbers. I'm gonna break this down quickly. If you're not familiar already with what your numbers are telling you in your business, I'd recommend starting literally do a guesstimate to start off, but you absolutely must track it every day. I am not a numbers guy, I'm not. However, I learned the hard way, if I want to get to the next level, I absolutely have to know what I'm on track for. And you have to make it simple. How many of us have done a business plan? I'm not trying to take you away from doing a business. Do your business plan. But because there are 15, 16 different numbers there, we can't remember what our goal was when it comes to this or that. Know which 2 to 3 numbers are absolutely driving your business. So, in focusing on that, let's say, Georgia said you absolutely should be doing at least 250,000 in commissions, right? And we're gonna see why. And I'm gonna show you the power of consistency here. Let's even base it off of an average commission. I'm just gonna say 7,000. Someone work up for me really quick, 7,000 into 250, how many transactions that is? What is that?
I know the numbers on a higher.
Someone's doing it in their head right now, that's
I know the numbers on a higher commission, 250,000 is 27.5.
So let's be super conservative. Let's say it's just 7. Let's say lower than what we normally would. So I think it's like 35 and a half, so I'm gonna say 36, yeah. 36 transactions. That looks scary. That looks really hard. So let's say to get 1 transaction, I'm even gonna say 1 in 4 appointments, okay? You get 1 transaction. So let's say if I want 36 transactions for 144 appointments for the year. Is this making sense, guys?
Yep.
Okay. So we need 144 appointments a year. That sounds really big. Let's say to get 1 appointment, how many contacts do I need? I think I put here, I think 45 contacts per 1 appointment. Some people are doing worse, some are doing better, whatever that might be. And again, we're making generalities depending on how you're doing your contacts. So
6,480 people.
4 appointments equals 1 transaction. And then 45 contacts equals 1 appointment. What was that number?
I cleared it.
6,480.
Thanks, John.
So if I put 12 into that, can someone divide? So we're doing 12 months into the 6,480. So we're going to see how many contacts per month. So 12 into that is what?
540.
So let's say 5-day work week. Let's say 20 days in the month. Are you guys with me on that? So 20 into 540, what is that? This is the cool part.
27.
Are you telling me if I do 27 contacts a day, a regular Monday to Friday work week, that's what I get? And that's based off of 45 contacts for 1 appointment, 4 appointments for 1 transaction. That's consistency.
That's assuming you work 12 months.
Yes. So you can factor that in. Do you think that number would still be super scary? I mean, we may be looking at 35 contacts a day, right, if we take time off.
So if you want to work only 40 weeks out of the year instead of 52.
So the point of this is, guys, consistency is everything. You
That number's easier to
absolutely.
swallow.
What's that?
27 contacts a day is easier to swallow than
Depends on how you.
$250,000.
Right.
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. And things can seem overwhelming. So what I'm telling you right now when we're wrapping up is know which numbers are most important to you and keep it simple. How many appointments do you have? How many contacts do you have to have? Right? And know where you're at. You should be tracking this each and every day, and by the end of the week, know where you stand. There are adjustments you're gonna have to make. Depending on what you've done over the last couple weeks or the last month, if it's taking more contacts to get to 1 appointment, sure, change it up and see where you're at. That's how we make adjustments to know where we're going. Makes sense? Yeah, Jason.
Just a thought on this. When I look at these numbers, one of the things that gets us down really fast is the number of no's. But in reality, if you're going to do this formula right here, you're going to have 6,424 no's to get your 36 yeses. So just allow the no's to come. Embrace the no's.
And what's interesting when we're focusing, that's a great point, we're focusing just on the results, we do get down, right? Like the goldfish, like we get down, I didn't find any food today, whatever it is in the ocean, right? However, if you really do track this, I promise you, if you're staying consistent, you will see improvements. And the numbers actually build you up. If you're looking at it and keeping it simple, you're going to say, man, I don't know if this is working out. But then you're going to look over the last couple of weeks and you're like, holy cow, my contacts are going up. They're becoming easier for me. Are you kidding me? I got 2 appointments I got 2 transactions. I'm averaging 3 appointments to get 1 transaction. That feels pretty good. Okay? So make sure you're tracking it and keep it simple. How many contacts, how many appointments am I getting every day? Yeah.
And I will say at an average commission, that's a $233,500 sales price. How many houses are out there at $233? I mean, at $350, you're at 10,000 average commission. So
yeah,
that's so conservative.
And again, I want to be conservative here so you guys can see this, but know where you're going. There's something that stuck with me. Numbers are the language of our business. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. I'm telling you.
Think about if you own a restaurant. You gotta know your numbers because the margins are so much slimmer than what our business is. And the overhead is significantly higher than what our business is. Like Brenda's talking about having signs and key boxes. If you own a restaurant, you need chairs and cups and soda machine and ovens and refrigerators and freezers and inventory and employees. We gotta have signs. And a transaction coordinator.
How about sports, baseball, everything is statistics, right? Everyone knows their numbers. Okay, and wrapping up, I want to share with you guys a quote. This is one of my favorite quotes by Amelia Earhart. She said, "The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. The fears are paper tigers. You can do anything you decide to do. You can act to change and control your life, and the procedure, the process, is its own reward." Know where you stand day to day. Look at your process. That's the reward. All of this other stuff, the $250,000, the homes, the money, that's an outward manifestation of the person you are. We base so much of the success off of the outline things, right? This person completed that marathon, won this championship. But the reward is the process that person took you there. Okay? So again, focus on these main areas, and I promise this is what's called a keystone habit. If you do these things, there will be a domino effect with everything else that you do, and you're going to see a windfall of success in your life. Okay?
Absolutely.
I'm
Hey,
awesome.
who's gonna join me in Hawaii next year?
Woo! Great, Emily.
Get your tracking going. Then you'll know your numbers and you'll know if you're on track.
Thank you. I succeed because I have my goals.
I'm an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know this is work. I remember people's names. I did it and I followed. I'm passionate about real estate. I know this is my greatest goal. I like to protection too. I enjoy reading from my sources. My causes and intentions I focus on my dreams daily. And everything is powerful. I do myself daily. I'm happy. I love progress. I see my future as awesome. I love my life. I'm grateful for it. I control my youth. I'm regulated. I go outside. And use my voice as a compass. I get things done. With my actions and service. I can be part of the day. I connect with people. To be loved. I love others. I'm completely accountable for it is today. I follow the day. I set my routine. I master the day. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rockstar. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day in purpose. I'm confident in myself. I know my destiny. I'm happy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm resilient. I need power to fight. Morning.
really good.
That was my best part.